Welcome to a deep dive that takes a common fear and completely flips it on its head. For most of us, risk is all about what we might lose.
Mm,
It's that fear of failure, the dreaded consequences.
right.
But what if that familiar idea of risk isn't the real risk at all?
Precisely. And today we're unpacking a truly fascinating perspective. It's from a recent article by Yves Dessouye, class of 25, published by Santa Clara University's Levy School of Business.
Okay.
And it really challenges us to redefine risk, not as something to avoid, but as movement, the very act of choosing to act.
Right. So our mission for you in this deep dive is to really extract the practical wisdom from Eve's personal journey.
Yeah.
And understand how courage is cultivated. It's not just something you have, it's a skill you practice.
Exactly.
And maybe, just maybe, inspire you to take that critical first step in something you've been hesitant about. So let's really dig into what that means for you.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the common perception of risk, as you know, it's often about loss, right? Or the consequences of what could go wrong. It's that big, scary unknown that kind of keeps us frozen sometimes.
But the source brilliantly flips that, just turns it right on its head.
How so?
Well, it suggests that, and I quote, risk is not about recklessness. It's about movement.
Movement, okay.
Yeah, it's about choosing to act, even when you don't have all the answers. So this shifts the focus dramatically, doesn't it? Away from the potential downside.
And towards the power of agency, like your ability to actually make choices.
Exactly. Your ability to take action rather than just, being a passenger in your own life.
So it's not just about taking a leap then. It's more fundamental. It's about reshaping how we even view that first step.
Exactly right. It's moving from, say, a fixed mindset where risk is just this barrier
Right.
to more of a growth mindset where risk is, well, it's the necessary act of engaging with opportunity.
Okay.
It redefines courage, not as like the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite the fear.
I see.
And it encourages us to look beyond just what could go wrong and really think hard about the cost of not acting, the cost of inaction.
And what really brings this idea of movement to life is seeing it play out, like in Evie Dessouye's own experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a first-year student at Santa Clara, she apparently faced this moment that really made her pause and question things.
Indeed. She found herself as one of only 12 analysts in the university's investment fund. 12.
Wow. Okay.
And a striking detail immediately stood out to her. Only 3 of them were women.
Only 3.
Yeah. And this led her to question, as she puts it, why weren't more women here? Why did it feel like this space wasn't built with us in mind?
You can really understand how that situation might have felt a bit daunting.
Oh, definitely.
The thought of, creating something from scratch sounded intimidating. That little voice saying, why not just join existing clubs and, stay comfortable?
Right.
That's a very common human reaction, isn't it?
It really is. But what came next truly illustrates her point about risk. She came to realize that the bigger risk was doing nothing, just leaving things exactly as they were.
Yeah.
She didn't want to graduate seeing that same gender gap simply because she hadn't, done her part.
Right. That inaction was the real danger.
Precisely. It highlights that sometimes the greatest risk isn't in what you do, but in what you fail to do.
So fueled by that realization, she decides to start something totally new, Women in Investment, or WIN. And it's important to remember this wasn't some perfectly polished vision from day one, was it?
Not at all. Far from it. The source tells us it actually began with frustration, a phone call to my friend Caitlin, and a lot of late-night brainstorming sessions.
Okay, so real grassroots stuff.
Totally. Together, they envisioned an inclusive community where women felt seen, heard, and empowered to pursue careers in finance and investing. It just shows you don't always need a grand plan to start, just a starting point and a really clear why.
They definitely had big dreams for WIN, though. The article mentions hosting an annual dinner, inviting guest speakers, and creating real momentum.
Oh, yeah. Big ambitions.
But with so many new ventures, they hit a very practical, very immediate challenge.
Right. Money.
Yeah.
A significant hurdle was indeed money. As Eve puts it quite bluntly, we also had no money.
Relatable.
Right. And when they asked for $15,000 to fund their first big event, well, the reaction wasn't exactly supportive.
What happened?
People apparently laughed, asking things like, why would anyone show up to a women's investment dinner?
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, that's the kind of skepticism that often just stops people cold in their tracks.
It really makes you wonder then, how do you push past that kind of resistance, especially when you're trying to build something new from, well, from scratch?
Well, the article shows Eve didn't just ask once and give up.
Yep.
No, she kept asking, kept pitching. It demonstrates that perseverance and finding those, true believers and just not taking no personally.
Yeah.
That's often the path through that wall of skepticism.
Kind of keep knocking on doors.
Exactly. They eventually found believers like the Sioka Center and Chris Norris who took a chance on us. So it highlights finding allies, yes, but also just the sheer grit required to keep asking until you find them.
And that grit, that perseverance, it paid off. Big time.
Dramatically, yeah.
By the time she was a sophomore, just 19 years old, Eve stood on stage. She was delivering her first speech to an audience of over 250 people.
Imagine that, 19.
That's a huge step for anyone, let alone a college sophomore starting something new.
But what's truly powerful here is the transformation she describes. It wasn't just about her,
Right.
The moment wasn't about her own achievement. It was about the collective impact. It was about all the women who now saw investing as a space where they belong.
Creating that space.
Exactly. And now, 3 years later, that annual dinner is a thriving tradition. It's impacted more than 2,000 women at Santa Clara and beyond. It's just an incredible ripple effect from that initial act of movement.
It really is. And this leads to another powerful insight from the source. What once seems scary becomes familiar when you do it enough. That idea of repetition, of practice, really resonates.
Oh, absolutely. She even uses this fantastic analogy. She says, risk is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I like that, the risk muscle.
Yeah. It's a fascinating psychological truth, isn't it? The more you expose yourself to something you perceive as risky, the less frightening it actually becomes over time.
So it's not just repetition, it's like you're building a new reference point.
Precisely. A new reference point for what feels normal or manageable. Her own experience with public speaking is a perfect example. It used to terrify her.
Right.
But then, at just 20, she's presenting her startup, Credit Click, at the MBA All-Star Weekend in San Francisco, standing beside seasoned founders, executives, VCs. And she says, at 20, I was the youngest in the room, but I wasn't afraid. I'd been here before. It just shows how our comfort zones aren't fixed, are they?
Not at all.
They expand with consistent engagement, with practice.
And that idea of the risk muscle, it isn't just for startup founders or, NBA All-Star Weekend presentations. It applies much more broadly.
Absolutely. Think about someone maybe considering a career change in their 40s, or even just picking up a totally new hobby, like, improv comedy.
Yeah, terrifying.
Right. The initial discomfort is very real. But the more they lean into it, the more their capacity for that kind of risk, that vulnerability, actually grows.
So you build confidence through the action.
Exactly. You don't wait for the confidence to magically appear before you act. The action builds the confidence.
It's also really clear from the article that none of this happened in a vacuum for Eve.
No, definitely not.
She credits her sister, her mom, her co-founders, mentors, classmates, a whole support system.
Yeah, and this connects beautifully to the bigger picture idea.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have all the answers, she says, but you do need a community that believes in you.
That's so important.
It really is. Everyone brings different strengths to the table, right? And together, you build something greater than the sum of its parts. It's such a powerful reminder that movement doesn't necessarily mean moving alone.
Finding your tribe.
Finding your tribe, exactly.
So as Eve gets ready to leave Santa Clara, she's really emphasizing carrying this forward, this appetite for risk a mindset that will stay with me for life.
Yeah, it's become part of her identity, hasn't it?
It seems so.
And the core message she hopes students, and by extension you, our listener, will take away is crystal clear.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait until you feel ready. Just start.
Just start. It sounds so simple, but
it's hard. It's a direct challenge to that paralysis of preparation, that feeling of, I'm not quite ready yet.
she even gives concrete examples of what starting can look like. It's not always huge.
Right. She offers a whole spectrum of action. Whether you join an existing program, build your own, or simply raise your hand in a room where no one else looks like you. That, she says, is risk worth taking.
So it's not about grand gestures every single time. Small acts count.
Absolutely. And the ultimate conclusion from the source just drives this whole point home so powerfully. And the truth. The only real risk is not starting at all.
Wow.
It completely repositions risk. It's not about a potential negative outcome anymore. It's about the inherent cost of inaction, the cost of staying still.
So, okay, what does this all really mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, how do we apply this?
Well, this deep dive really reminds us that maybe the biggest obstacle isn't the challenge itself. Maybe it's the paralysis that comes from anticipating it.
That waiting.
Yeah, waiting for some mythical moment of readiness that might never actually arrive.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really suggests that true growth, making a real impact, and even, ironically, expanding your own personal comfort, well, that comes from actively stepping into the unknown.
Even when you feel thoroughly unprepared.
Especially when you feel unprepared. It's in that very act of movement, however small, that everything starts to change.
So we leave you with this provocative thought. Where in your own life right now are you waiting? Waiting until you feel ready.
Think about it.
What small start could you make this week? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's sketching out an idea for a new project. Or maybe it's just a tiny step towards a bigger goal. What could you start, knowing that the only real risk is not starting at all?
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, stay curious and keep listening.